American nights. We snuck our forts to the shore.
What's going on, everybody? We're back here a week after a Sooner win. And if you'll notice here, we got a new face with us. This is my childhood friend, Jaron Johnston. We played a lot of travel ball together growing up. He's currently at OU right now. Um, and he's been loyal to the pod since day one.
It's been
So
huge, man.
yeah, so what's going on, Jaron? How's it going?
Not a lot, man. Just enjoying it up here in Norman, especially after a win. It's
Yeah.
always great.
Yeah, the vibes are high up there right now.
Yeah, I mean, about as high as you can get after a game against Temple. So,
Yeah, right. Well, I thought for it being a game against Temple, I thought that the atmosphere was pretty good on Friday night. Me and Will were both there. I know you were there too, so what do you think? We'll just get started talking about what do you think the environment was like on Friday
I
night?
think I think it was great. I think that the whole SEC move has got everybody pumped. Even though we're not into SEC play yet, I think everybody's just hyped.
Right. Did you take part in the
No, I know
SEC
what you're
chant?
gonna ask. No. That's so cringe, man.
Yeah, that made me cringe a little too. So how was your weekend, Will?
It was good. Had an awesome night Friday night. Saw OU play amazing. And then followed up on Saturday. Actually went behind enemy lines. Went to Stillwater with another buddy. And we actually left at halftime. I wasn't impressed by the game, to be honest. I mean, honestly, I honestly didn't watch a whole ton of it. But afterwards, it's a good. They're cool people. They're not as ruthless and arrogant as I thought they were. So that makes me feel a little bit better.
Well, that's good. Hey, how'd that whole QR thing work out? Did they
Say that
like
again.
the QR thing for the
Oh yeah,
NIL?
so if you play basically all these Oklahoma games, it's the security is a bunch of JUCO kids, and so I don't really. What you talking about? Oh, I have no idea. I didn't pay attention. I
They
thought you were talking about sneaking into the game. So we snuck into the game.
No, I'm talking about the how they put the QR code on the helmets for NIL.
Oh, I
NCAA
mean,
shut that down.
Oh, they
Straight
they
did.
shut
up.
that down. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Oh, wow. I did not
Something to
know
do with
that.
uniform regulations or something. I heard Mike Gundy talking about it.
Huh, that's interesting.
I
Well, you think
gotcha.
they'd still maybe show one on the scoreboard or something if they still want to do the QR code thing, but huh.
It's a weird deal.
The NCAA hates fun, I guess.
Yeah. They got to
I
find some way to
yeah.
establish power.
Yeah, I thought it was a good idea, but I thought everyone would start copying it, but I guess not. Well, that's funny. I don't like the Cowboys anyway, so. All right, so Jaren, since you're our guest here, let's just get your thoughts on how you think Friday night went.
Yeah, I mean, I left Friday not feeling the best about our offense. I feel like a lot of people would feel the same way. I look back on it though, a few replays, and I think we did okay. That O-line looked pretty bad. Um, our wide receiver room wasn't outstanding, but the defense shined through. I mean, they were singing good.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that you'll see a lot more of that this week because I think Houston's just about as bad as Temple is. Anything in particular on offense stand out to you, good or bad?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a tight end again, which is huge for us. I think that Jackson Arnold really we shouldn't have been allowing pressure, but since there was pressure, he looked really good under pressure. And Dion Burks is everything that we thought he was going into the season.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really excited about that guy. Will, what about you? What are your thoughts on how Friday night went?
Well, I think overall it went pretty well. You know, defense looked really good. I think we had what, two takeaways, two picks, I'm pretty sure. But defense looked really good. The thing that really caught my eye, and it really worries me, which I know we have guys injured. I don't know how many we have injured. I know our center went out, but our O line was not anywhere near where I think it needs to be in order to be one of those top contenders in the SEC, especially year one. But like you said, Jackson Arnold did a really good job adjusting to that. And then the connection between him and Dion Burks was it's relieving, especially knowing with Farouk's going out. I think we're going to talk about that later, but knowing that they already have a good connection is really good. But one thing bad that really caught my eye, which it has something to do with our O line being bad, but I'm pretty sure Gavin Sawchuk had 5 yards. So that's not always the best sign week one.
Yeah, and Gavin Sawchuk's a guy I've kind of had mixed emotions on because that Cheez-It Bowl his freshman year, I think it was Kennedy Brooks opted out for the draft, and so he started. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but Gavin Sawchuk had a really nice game against Florida State, and I thought he was going to come in and like be a dude. And he's kind of, I mean, he had the consecutive 100-yard games last year, which you can't complain about that. But I don't know, he's just not what I thought he would be, I guess. Kind of gets off to slow starts like he did the other day too. And part of that could, like both of y'all said, could be the offensive line. So having a huge question mark on the line of scrimmage going into the SEC is not exactly something that I'm thrilled about. I was talking to Jaron a lot about this, but I was pretty negative Friday leaving the game, even though we covered, we held them to 3 points. We scored 51 points. I was pretty negative, but the more I've read about stuff, I guess they held a lot of guys out that were like banged up that could have gone. Like Nick Anderson could have gone. I guess Jake Taylor could have gone on the offensive line. So that makes me feel a little bit better about it. And Jackson Arnold really did look pretty good given. I feel like the wide receivers weren't getting that much separation. There were some drops. He was constantly getting hit. So it could be worse. We could be like Florida State losing week one and then getting beat by Boston College right now. Or we could be like Michigan barely escaped with a win. Oregon barely escaped with a win. So it could always be worse. We're just spoiled OU fans. So let's talk about the
100%.
defensive side of the ball. What stood out to you guys there? Jaron, you can go ahead and start.
Yeah, I mean, we just have a lot more depth this year, at the line and especially in those like defensive back positions, we just look a lot better. Uh, I know BV talked about it going into the season that like last year we just weren't working with a lot, especially with those safeties, and this year we're just deep. And that defensive line's just tearing through. I know it's Temple, but I mean they're just tearing through. They looked really good.
Yeah, I agree. I agree for sure. Will, what do you think?
I agree wholeheartedly. I'm really curious to see. I don't think Houston will be a test. But Tulane, I don't think Tulane's horrible, so I'm curious to see how we do against them before we go up against Tennessee. But I think these first three games they're gonna go pretty well for us. I'll just throw that. I don't know if it's definitely not a hot take, but I think we're gonna do really well defensively these next two games. And then I'm really curious to see what we do against Tennessee because like we have a lot of depth that we used to not have. And I'm really ready for Billy Bowman though to have an absolute game to set him apart from everybody else on the defensive side and all of college football. I think he's a guy, and I think he should prove himself this season.
I don't
Yeah,
know if you guys noticed. Oh,
no, go ahead.
I don't know if you guys noticed. He was super fired up to start that game off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That third down, where he spiked that ball and the ref had to grab him after and let him know that that's going to be a flag next time. Like that dude's fired up. He's
Yeah.
ready
Okay,
to
so
go.
do you watch? Sorry, Colin.
No,
Do you
go
watch
ahead.
games in the student? Are you in the student section?
Yeah.
How's that?
The new student section's fine. I enjoyed it. They pushed us kind of farther over in the corner. But I mean, student section's always fired up. Really loud over there. It was a good atmosphere.
Yeah, it looked
Yeah.
like there was a ton of people there.
It looked like it got full pretty early too.
Mhm.
Usually it takes a little while for it to fill up, especially in a game like that. But no, I thought the student section was good. But as far as Billy Bowman goes, just having him come back was huge for us, like a huge leader presence for the
Yeah.
defense. And on the D line, even though it was Temple, you could just tell just by the sheer size of those guys. Like Jaden Jackson, a freshman running out, comes out there and Will's like, wow, that guy's hard to miss. Because he was like, what number is Jaden Jackson again? And part of it's his hair, but part of it's the dude looks like a bowling ball running out there. So it's like Grayson Halton is like our lightest guy on our D line. And I think when Lincoln was here, that was like our average size of D linemen. So just the fact that they beefed up, I think is huge. And obviously Danny Stutzman's a dude, Billy Bowman's a dude, and I think they're both gonna have good years. So um, even with how down I kind of am on the offense right now, I think the defense will be really good this year. so Jaron actually made a little outline for us, which was super cool. And he put on here talking about the kicker. And I don't know if Will was just pulling this out
Yes.
of his butt last week when we were talking about the depth chart. You thought his name was cool or whatever, but Will starts talking about the kicker last week, and then he goes on to be like SEC Special Teams Player of the Week.
He's our
So
first player of the week.
I know.
If
So
you would have
Will,
told me that
man.
last year, I would have been shocked, man.
literally, Will, I don't know what possessed you to talk about the kicker last week, but maybe you want to
I
start
just,
on this one.
I just feel like, a lot of people shit on the kicker. And so I feel like, we may be a podcast that praises one, set ourselves apart. So he's off to a great start, but no, I completely pulled that out of my ass. Didn't know who he was, but I do now. I think everybody does.
Yeah, and I figured as much. But I mean that defense and special teams goes a long way to winning a lot of games. So it's nice to have that um, you know, luxury of having a nice kicker.
I
So
think I think a big thing whenever we talk about this offense, in like how we're not sure how good we're gonna be, I feel like that's just huge down the stretch. I feel like last year you get those guaranteed threes that weren't guaranteed. This year you really need them. Like
exactly. Yeah. And as far as the offense goes, I don't want it to sound like super negative on the offense because I know it's Temple. We're not going to open up the playbook. We had guys out. I think we have all the weapons. I guess it'll just remain to be seen. Not returning any starters on the O line and having a new offensive coordinator is definitely tough. But hopefully this is just me being a spoiled OU fan complaining about scoring 51 points. So, is there anything y'all want to add on to how Friday went before we start talking about this Saturday?
I mean, I think we hit a spot probably that should be hit. I don't know
yeah.
if there's anything else we need to touch base on.
All right. Well, I do want to ask y'all what y'all think because we did cover running backs a little bit and talked about Gavin Sawchuk not having the best night. I know he got in garbage time, but what do y'all think about Taylor Tatum, freshman coming in those last few possessions?
He looks good. I think we're gonna get him in some more looks, especially in those like I don't know, having him run some routes too. I mean, JA talked about it like before the start of the season that he's been huge to throw to in practice, and they'll probably start mixing him in some more, especially because early on, Sawchuk and Barnes just weren't really getting a whole lot going.
Yeah, no, it's definitely some reassurance for sure. I know it's just one game, but if he continues to do that, I think even though our running game may not be superior, which I hope it does soon, I hope we find another guy. I miss having an absolutely really good running back. But for now, I think it'll work. I think at Jackson Arnold will allow it to work, and I think he'll be a pretty good player.
Yeah, and I'm glad you talked about catching passes out of the backfield, Jaron, because I think last year OU's running backs combined had like just a little over 200 yards receiving. And so that's just not something they utilize. So if Taylor Tatum can be a guy that comes in and he pass blocks well and he can catch passes out of the backfield, I think that'd be huge.
Having
So
those safety nets at running back and tight end are huge this year,
Absolutely.
especially.
yeah, I agree. So Will, last week you and me both picked two MVPs. So what do you say we go through and read the stats and we'll let Jaron pick an MVP. And then this week we can all three pick some MVPs. So I'll just start with mine. I had Kip Lewis and I had Deion Burks. And Kip Lewis, he didn't really blow up the stat sheet like I thought he did. He had 3 tackles, 2 solo tackles, and that's all he's got on the stat sheet. But I also had Deion Burks, who went 6 receptions for 36 yards and 3 touchdowns on Saturday night. So Will, you had what? Billy Bowman and Jackson Arnold?
Yeah, Billy Bowman and Jackson Arnold, but I also said that Farouk would have a big game.
Oh yeah. Well, he broke his foot, so that
Yeah,
kind
it,
of
it could have been.
right.
So I mean, I don't know.
Right. He was playing well before that happened, so you can't really hold that against you.
Mhm.
So I can read off some stats. And Billy Bowman about had a pick, but then he landed on his head. So Jackson Arnold was 17 of 25 with 141 yards and 4 touchdowns. He did get sacked 3 times though. And then Billy Bowman, 3 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and then almost a pick. So Jaron, who would you say the MVP was for Friday night's game?
Man, it's tough. those defensive guys, I mean, everybody shined through there. And I think JA did really well in that game as well. But I got to give it up to Dion that game. I mean, some people questioning like we all think he's gonna be that guy for us, and he just steps up game one for 3 touchdowns. I mean, he's fired up. You'd love to see it.
Yeah, and I love seeing that guy on the roster. That was a huge pickup for us. I'm excited to watch that guy. So, Will, any more thoughts on that, or you want to pick your MVPs for this week before we start talking about the Houston game?
Okay. Yeah. No, I'll just go ahead and let's see. I think choosing Jackson Arnold every game is like that should be frowned upon. I think we should have to switch it up just out of
Right.
curiosity. But let's see. I'll go with oh God. I think I'm gonna follow it up. I think Deion Burks is gonna have another tremendous game. So I'll just say him for offense. And then on defense, we can go ahead. I just had his name pulled up. I want to go with somebody very specific because he had a good game last night, and I think, or last week, and I think he'll have another good one. Let me see here. Where is he?
Will's picking Tyler Keltner for the his MVP this week.
No, trust.
Hey, that probably would have been a good pick for this past week.
Yeah.
When's the last time you saw a OU kicker just nail a 51-yarder? It's been a minute.
Gabe
Definitely
Burchick.
been a minute.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Okay, I think Robert Spears Jennings is going to have a good game next week. I think he's going to have a great game on defense.
All right. That
I
guy
like that.
next to
Very
us was
specific.
asking about him when he got put in the game. Yeah, no, he played pretty well Friday. I still like Billy Bowman and Peyton Bowen over Robert Spears Jennings, but I didn't pay enough attention to him to tell you one way or the other how I feel about how he played last week. I mean, with the defense playing as good as they did, it's hard to just pick out one guy. But
Let's just hope I'm right again.
all right,
like I was
so you
about.
got Deion Burks and Robert Spears Jennings. All right, what do you think, Jaron?
yeah. So on offense, I was kind of on a toss up because we do have. I guess it's not guaranteed yet, but I assume Nick Anderson will be back next week. Uh, but I think he's going to get limited touches. So I'm going to go with Bauer Sharp. I think since we're pretty banged up and pretty young in the areas that we're replacing on, we've been running a ton of tight end plays, like 2 tight end plays. I think he's going to have a big week again. And then on defense, I kind of watched some of the Houston game on replay, just see what they do a whole lot of. And I think Kendall Dolby's gonna have a really big day. They don't do a lot of like drop back passing because their offensive line's terrible. They just get blown through. So their quarterback rolls out almost every play that they pass, or they run these like spread passes. I think that's right up his wheelhouse. He's gonna smoke a guy next week.
Well, Jaron, I think those are two great picks because you stole both of my picks on who I thought
Wow.
was going to be MVP. So I guess great minds think alike. So let me just pick some new MVPs on the fly here.
My
But yeah, no,
apologies.
I agree with what you say, especially with Kendall Dolby being in that cheetah position.
Mhm.
Like he gets listed as a linebacker coming out with the starting, but he's really just a hybrid of like a linebacker safety. And he was good for us last year. Oklahoma kid, I think he's going to be good.
I mean, he had that pick that they didn't count. They counted it for Kanai Walker.
Right, when he tipped
But
it
he
up.
knocked that ball up.
Yeah. Yeah, he was smothering that guy. So let's see here. See, I can't pick Deion Burks again. I think Deion Burks is another guy you could probably pick every single week.
Mhm.
But just because I was talking bad about him, I'm gonna take Gavin Sawchuk. I think he has a better game this week. I hope he has a better game this week. And on defense, go ahead and give me.
Don't say it. Don't double up on him for the love of God.
You know, I should take that. What's his name? Marcus Strong, a guy that came in at the end and had 2 straight sacks. Let's see.
I swear to God, if you say Danny Stutzman, I'm gonna lose my shit.
I'm not gonna say Danny Stutzman because I know you hate him. Give me. This is tough. Thanks a lot, Jaron. Making me look like an idiot now, just scrolling. I look like Will, just scrolling through the roster,
I
just
didn't
pick
have
someone
mine.
off the
I
fly.
didn't have mine put up there. I had to do
I'm
it on
just
the fly
kidding.
too.
Give me a Samio Mashigo. Samio Mashigo and Gavin Sawchuk for my MVPs next week. So, what are some things that you would like to see this Saturday? Maybe the same that we saw from Friday or different from Friday? Jaren, go ahead and start us off.
Yeah, I don't want to see Deion Burks running the ball anymore. That scares me every single time. We did it a lot last year with Farouk. I don't like that at all. Uh, to keep the ball in the running back's hands if we're gonna run it. Those jet sweeps are only like to get dudes hurt.
Yeah, and there were even some times, I think it was only once or twice, but I know in the Kansas game for sure, Jalil Farouk was lined up at halfback
Hmm.
and they handed it off to him and he fumbled. So, yeah, I agree with you there. Keep the ball out of your receiver's hands in the backfield.
But beyond that, I mean, let's just see like a 250-yard game from Jackson Arnold. I don't think that they've got a lot of guys that can cover the talent that we have. Um, I know this week he was like in short field position a lot. Forced turnovers, 6 forced turnovers will do that, but uh, just over 250 would be great from him.
And what would you, anything else you wouldn't want to see besides wide receivers running the ball?
Shoot, man, those little I just hate the inside run, typically. I know that there's a reason for it from an offensive scheme perspective, and they look cool whenever they bust through. But those little like 1 yard runs where they just get blocked out by their own offensive linemen, I just hate watching that.
Yeah, it can be pretty hard to watch. So, what are your thoughts, Will? What would you like to see this Saturday, and what would you like to see differently?
Um, well, I don't know if it was just because Temple was bad, but I think we hit people hard last week. We caused I don't know how many fumbles we end up causing, but that could just be because Temple was absolute dog shit. But I hope we at least have 3 takeaways on defense for sure. That's what I'm hoping to see. And then I hope our passing game is really good. I hope Jackson Arnold has a really big game. And one thing that I really want to see change for sure is I want to see our run game become more effective because we can't just be a pass only team if we want to compete at a high level at the SEC. So
I agree. I would say for me, so last week, I feel like I've done a lot of griping about the offense, but one thing we haven't touched on is they didn't turn the ball over at all. And that's huge, even against a bad team, to not turn the ball over. So I would like to see us continue that trend this week, take care of the ball. Obviously, I'd like to see the offensive line play better. I don't want to see Jackson Arnold get sacked 3 times. And as far as the defense goes, I mean, you can't really say much about how last week went. Stuff to improve on. Um, 6 takeaways, holding the 3 points. I guess I'd like to see a shutout this week. Um, that would be, I guess, the one improvement I could say. Just don't let them score any points. So I'll say no turnovers and a shutout, and I think I'd be pretty pleased this week. But
I've got one more thing. This is just for the crowd. I'm not a big fan of the four corners one that we do. The four corners chant because it just seems like they just don't get it. The crowd struggles with it every time.
I think
no,
we
I
still have
agree.
too many old people in the stands. Not enough people standing up.
Well, you get the student section starting off with the Let's, and then just from there, it really falls off
Yeah.
as you hit the other corners.
Yeah, I like them trying to bring that one chant back with the band. I feel like it was kind of weird how they did it before the team ran out, and also everyone said it wrong, even though it was on the screen. But hopefully that gets better as the year goes on, because that used to be it. They used to do that chant like when I was growing up, and it would get pretty rowdy. But what'd you think about the start of the fourth quarter singing the Toby Keith song?
I was
I mean,
pissed that it wasn't Red Solo Cup.
Oh my gosh. I thought it was good. I liked it a lot. I'm glad they chose that song.
I
Got a
mean, the
little
guy's
more.
just an icon, man.
He is. He's a Patriot, Sooner legend. Rest in peace, Toby Keith.
R.I.P.
All right, well, let's hear some score predictions. I want to brag or anything, but I did predict what was it, 52-0 Or
Yeah.
or was
So are
it
you
was
gonna
it
do another
52
shutout? Are you
or was
calling
it
another shutout?
52-3? I think I picked 52-3 and the score ended up being 51-3.
Mhm.
So I think that's probably one of the most impressive things I've ever done.
So are you
Um,
gonna do another shutout today?
yeah, well, I said I want to see a shutout, so I'll say 45-0
Okay.
Sooners.
Okay. Go ahead, Jaron.
Yeah, I think. I mean, Houston got shut out last week, right? By UNLV.
I think so.
Eh,
Yeah.
So yeah, give me 63-0. Just a absolute mauling.
I wouldn't mind to see that.
All right. Give me, man. I'll be surprised. No, I won't be surprised if we shut them out. But I just want to be. I'll be different. I'll give them. I'll let Houston score one time. I think it'll be on some bullshit, but I think they'll end up scoring. So give me. I'll go 45-7.
Okay. Over under 2.5 takeaways for the defense.
I hope over.
I gotta go with the over. Coming off a 6 week. I mean,
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Given how last week went, I don't think Houston is much
I
better.
don't know if I've ever seen a Division I football team though fumble the ball so much as Temple did.
Yeah. Some of those you don't know whether we're forcing them or it's just
They're
how
just-
bad Temple is. But and see, that's what I hate about non-conference games like this. And Houston's not going to be a good test either. So really, and it's like Will said earlier, we're not going to know really anything about this team until Tulane. But then we're really not. I mean, our first real test is Tennessee, and that's one heck of a test. So
Did we play at Tulane this year?
I think our first 4 games are at home.
yeah, I
Oh,
think they're all
word?
at
So
home.
Mario Williams has got to come back. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think he had a
Yeah.
big game last week.
Did he?
I think so.
Man.
Tulane's not bad. They lost their coach last year. It's actually Houston's coach that we're playing next week.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. So, speaking of Mario Williams, I know he's not there anymore, obviously. But as much as I hate to say it, USC looked pretty good last night.
They did.
The
They did.
defense actually looked pretty good, and LSU, that's 5 straight, I think, season openers that they've lost. So imagine being an OU fan and just the first game of every year you just lose. How frustrating that would be. So let me hear some of y'all's thoughts. Will, I don't know if you got to watch. I know you were probably hurting yesterday.
Yeah, I actually got a few. I got to watch the last few drives, but one thing that really stuck out to me is this has nothing to do with the sport of football, but is his name Mason Miller? Is that his name?
The quarterback.
Moss.
I want Moss Miller. I want to hit him in the face. He has a very punchable face and he looks like an absolute douchebag. But dude can freaking play. And on top of that, he had to sit for sure. I think he had to sit all last year. I mean, behind Caleb Williams, but the dude, I guess, succeeded in his moment. So kudos to that guy. Oh shit.
Jaron, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Lincoln Riley and a team having a good defense is pretty crazy. Or just like an average defense is pretty crazy to be uttered together. I think that I don't know. If I'm LSU's administration, we got to start getting some FCS games in there to start the year off. Goodness gracious, man.
Yeah, that yeah, you don't know how much you chalk up to it being a tough schedule or just your team's not ready to go. I guess a little bit of both, but playing USC at a neutral site sure didn't help anything. But they had that game. They could have. I feel like they could have put USC away though, and they didn't. So a little bit of coaching too, a little bit of, sometimes watching those Lincoln Riley games. I guess a lot of people on Twitter call them you just hate watching, just so you can watch USC lose. But sometimes you watch those and you're like, man, I kind of miss that offensive production at OU. But then you kind of have to just, come back to reality, and we're way better off without Lincoln Riley than we were with him. But maybe Lincoln
Hey,
Riley offensive coordinator instead of head
I'll
coach.
still make that prediction that he's coming to the Cowboys. I don't know when it'll be. Hopefully it's soon, but I
I
think
mean,
it's
you've been
not.
saying that for the past year and a half now.
Well, I'm gonna say it for 2 years now.
Well, I think that Lincoln was probably on the hot seat this year. He probably still is a little bit, but that win did him a lot of favors last night. I think when this first AP poll comes out, I wouldn't be surprised to see them jump OU. I think they were 23rd. They're gonna jump way up there. I mean, the national media is already hyping them up because it's a California team and it's Lincoln Riley. So
Could
I
you
don't know.
imagine though if
We'll
they had to
see.
come to Norman in the first round?
That'd be sick.
That would be so sick. Lincoln Riley would definitely have to get like security detail.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, he was scared while he was still here, like moving away. Like
Yeah.
like quotes people breaking into his house and stuff
And
while he was
what was it,
away.
like black Escalades kept like
Mhm.
circling his house and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah. No. I can't stand that guy. But, I'm gonna give credit where credit's due and they looked good on
I
Saturday.
think a lot of people like going into this year have been very big on Ohio State. Like the Big Ten is Ohio State's, but I don't know. I I think they'll be contenders. I even think even though Oregon had a bad week, I mean, I think they'll be all right down the stretch. I don't know. The Big Ten might be up for grabs.
Yeah, and what did that score of that Ohio State game end up being? Because I know they weren't running away for it for a while. Will Howard's out there as the quarterback, which is so weird to me. He was at K-State last year, wasn't he?
Mhm.
But yeah, they didn't look like world beaters there for the first half of the game at least. And then yeah, like you said, Oregon barely snuck out with a win. So the Big Ten could be pretty wide open. Michigan didn't look good. I guess they're not stealing signs anymore and watching practices. So, but yeah, I don't know. It could be up for grabs for sure.
What do you guys think about Texas at Michigan next week?
Yes, I was gonna ask that.
I think that's going to be a good game. After what I saw week 1, I got Texas coming out on top though.
Yeah.
Even though it's at Michigan. I just think right now Texas is a better team. As much as it pains me to say that, but also I wouldn't mind seeing Texas and OU both coming into the Cotton Bowl, undefeated. Maybe a
Oh,
top
yeah.
10 matchup.
Oh, if they're both undefeated, I'm thinking surely OU's got to be in there. Got to be in that top 10 discussion.
Right. Yeah. Um. So, Will, is there any other games you want to cover? We were both watching that Florida State game a little bit.
Well, I wanted to, I guess, just get y'all's opinion on the A&M Notre Dame game. I got to watch a little bit of that one. I mean, A&M's quarterback really didn't impress me, especially being for a 5-star. It's a very mediocre
Right.
5-star.
Yeah. First of all, before we talk about this game, have either of y'all seen the video? You know that guy? He's like, I guess a magician or illusionist or
Yes.
whatever.
Was it with the quarterback?
Yeah, how he's
Why does he talk like that?
yeah.
Oh, no, bro. Oh, bro. Let me see my shoe back. Let me see my shoe back, bro. Let me see my shoe, bro. No, bro. I swear to God, bro.
Did you see that video, Jared? You know
No.
the video we're talking about? Okay, I'm gonna have to put it in here or something. It's like, well, he's like, I can't even describe it, but
Isn't he from
he
someplace
tries to
in
talk like
Texas?
he's like from the hood and he's from like Cypress, Texas or something. And he's like, just the way he talks makes you cringe. It's bad. And then I saw yesterday, Jaron, I'm gonna have to send you this like right after we get off of here so you know what we're talking about. But he's giving a press conference after the game. And like if you go look at the comments, everyone's like, "Where'd that accent go?" Or like Notre Dame knocked the accent right off of him or something. So it's bad. It's hard to watch. But I'm glad you saw the video, Will. But yeah, I don't like you were talking about USC's quarterback being a guy you'd want to punch in the face. I'd
Mhm.
want to punch this guy in the face.
Oh,
But it's
yeah.
always good seeing A&M lose, in my opinion. So yeah, but
Notre Dame might not lose this year.
yeah, they flash it up on the screen and like the ESPN like FPI or index or whatever has like they are favorites in all of their games that they play. I thought they looked pretty good though. I like Marcus Freeman a lot. Uh, Good young guy, defensive mind. All right, before we got cut off there, we were talking about the Notre Dame game, how much we dislike Texas A&M's quarterback and the way he talks. So, do either of you guys have any more thoughts on that game? You want to move on?
I ain't got none.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think we covered it. I think Notre Dame. The thing with them is, it always seems like they have a good regular season and they're a little bit like OU in the sense they make it to the playoff and then they always disappoint. So we'll just, I guess it'll remain to be seen what happens with them. Maybe things will be different with Marcus Freeman, but as far as A&M goes, I think it's the same old story with them. Overhyped, not gonna win a lot of games, which doesn't hurt my feelings any.
Nope.
All right, Will. So what do you got for us?
Man, so we're gonna bring back the cool on you hot takes. So I basically what this is cool on you is a term I used it. We use it at Eastern. I mean something you do not like, something that absolutely pisses you off, grinds your gears. And so we're just gonna blurt out about I think we got two apiece. Just two random things that really, really piss you off. We'll get maybe the fans will, give us some advice on these and tell us if we've got a problem for not liking these things. So do one of y'all want to start off or do y'all want me to go ahead and get the first one out the way?
Let's go ahead and let you
Go
get
ahead.
this first one, and we'll rotate
Yeah,
afterwards.
got you. Yeah, so my first one this has nothing to do with football. This is just anything in the world. Is people using a blinker and they don't turn when they're supposed to turn, or vice versa. If you don't have your blinker on and you turn in front of me, that pisses me off so bad. Beyond I cannot.
What if it's just like somebody's grandma is driving and they just
I
forgot their
that
blinker
that
was
goes
on?
back to last season. If you're over 70, you should be getting you shouldn't be getting you should have to take a driver's test every single year until you die. Get the old people off the roads, bro.
All right, what about you, Jaren? What's your first one?
Yeah, I guess we'll go along the same lines with another like driving one. I hate this is very specific. Whenever you're walking across a crosswalk, and they have like somebody's turning left, they have the flashing, and they just roll right in front of you.
Yes.
Right in
Yes.
front of like where you're about to walk, they just roll straight through. I've had people yell at me before too for walking, and it's like this is when I'm supposed to walk.
That's a good one. That's very specific, and that is what I was looking for. So that's great.
Next time you should just jump on the hood and just sue. Get the rest of your college paid for.
That's a good call.
I guess since y'all are sticking with the driving theme, this actually happened to me today. I was on a highway driving back home, and it's when you're trying to change lanes, um, and so you have your blinker on. And this happened to me where I needed to get over because there's a semi that needed to merge into my lane, so I need to get over so he can merge. And I turn my blinker on, and the car doesn't speed up or slow down for me to get over. They just keep driving the same speed as me. And I absolutely hate that because then I can't merge over. The semi is going to take us both out. All because this person can't see my blinkers on. Oh, I'm either going to speed up past them or I'm going to slow down and let him in. Just keeps driving the same speed as me.
That
So I would say if you do that, I'm super cool on you.
that brings me to the question: do y'all have road rage? Are y'all calm minded when it comes to stuff like that? Like, are you losing your shit?
Kate says I get bad. I just hate when people are inconsiderate. Like what like both of y'all have said is just like you're just being inconsiderate and not really paying attention to like the space you're taking up.
Yeah, I agree. I think my thing is have you ever seen the meme where it's like when you drive past someone and look at them to see if they look as dumb as they drive? I think that's more my thing than road rage. I kind of drive past them and I'm like, man, this person's an idiot. I think I've had road rage maybe one time in my life. I was driving back to college and I had all my drums in the back and this dude just absolutely riding me. And so I got pretty pissed off because I was like, if I get rear-ended, all this stuff is ruined. I think I might have flipped him the bird when he drove past me.
That's
But
what y'all should try to give somebody a good thumbs down. Like that honestly hurts more on the inside than anything that you could just so they know like your driving is poor. Like that alone should be enough. But no, man, so y'all have another one? Y'all want to go another round? Y'all want to just chill at stop at one?
I think we can come up with one more.
Yeah.
Okay. Bet that. All right. So my second one is so at a drive through. This is specifically if it's after the lobby or if the lobby's closed, then this is acceptable. I understand. But if the lobby's not closed at a drive through and your total's more than $45, what the hell are you doing? Why are you not inside? I don't understand because not only are you're taking my time my time. I'm getting a drink and maybe a burger. That's it for myself. And I don't know if it's just you ordering all that food, not fat shaming. You do you, but there's no reason for it. That's very, as Jaron would say, inconsiderate.
No, man. Whenever like it's not just you, the workers hate it too. Like whenever I was working at Cowarts and Ada and like somebody'd come through and they're like, "Yeah, let me get 2 racks of ribs," and they just had this big long order. It's like, dude, come on. Just take a step inside. Don't take up all that space in the parking lot.
Man, no, that does piss me off for sure.
All right, Jaren, you got another one for us?
Yeah, I thought of it earlier while we were talking about our first ones, but I don't like um m- merges onto the highway that don't have their own lane.
Yes.
Where you have to like stop almost sometimes. If it's like bumper to bumper, you have to stop to get in. I like having my own lane and then I can fit inside the other lane. But like if I don't have a lane, it just
You've
sucks.
got to make a business decision. Those are the moments we look for.
Oh, one more. This is so specific. Sometimes on a right turn, they have like those like bins, instead of a regular stop sign, you have your own bin to go out onto the road. There's one that's by Home Depot in Norman that does not have a yield sign. You get your
Oh,
own lane after that. People will just stop on their brakes because people will be coming that way, but you have your own lane the whole way.
See, we don't have to deal with that in Ada. We're not big city enough for that.
yeah,
So
we have
it's
My
probably
fault, my fault.
all these small town people that don't know what to do. They see it and they freak out. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Um, Shoot, I would say one for me is sometimes it's not necessarily that I'm cool on the person because there's someone in particular that does this a lot to me. And I'll just go ahead and say who it is. But my dad, me and him do not have the same taste in TV shows or like music or that sort of thing, which is fine. You like what you like and I like what I like. But sometimes he'll be watching a show and he's more into the sci-fi type stuff, which I don't really get down with a lot of that. But he'll be like, "You should watch this. You would love this." When someone tells me you would love this, I'm like, first of all, I'll decide if I love it or not. You're not gonna tell me you would love this. Second of all, you know what I like. Which me and my dad, we do like some of the same shows. Like we watch Peaky Blinders together, we watch Yellowstone together. That's more up my alley. But some of this weird stuff that he watches, I'm just like, you know I wouldn't like that, and you're telling me I would love it. I don't know, something about it just rubs me the wrong way. So that's a really stupid one, but maybe you can relate. Maybe you've had someone recommend something to you that both of you know you're not gonna like, but maybe just because they like it, they want you to like it. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is, but you're not gonna tell me that I would love something. I'll decide for myself.
I hope your girlfriend watches this so she knows in advance not to steer you the wrong direction.
Right,
But
right.
no, but
I'm a man. I
back
can
to
make my own decisions.
back to driving real quick. Ada has a stoplight out right by the I think it's a country club like that McDonald's and Citizens Bank, that fourth way. Just sitting there watching people have to like make their own decisions like at Crazy Corner, like it is the funniest thing. Like this, some of the worst drivers I've ever seen are in this town, and watching them make decisions like that is comical.
Oh yeah. I think as a whole, as a society, we need to make honking like a less aggressive thing. Like sometimes I'm just trying to let you know, and I feel like it comes off really harsh every time. But I'm not always mad at you. I'm just letting you know that like I don't know. Like here in Norman, man, people don't stop for the ambulance. They just don't.
That's
Like so
crazy.
I'll give a few honks to be like, "Hey," because I just don't think they pay attention at all. So I'll give them a few honks, be like, "Hey, don't go through the intersection. You're about to get blasted by a fire truck." Like,
So should we like put that on a shirt or something to normalize honking?
I would love that, man.
We should start a campaign.
That's good stuff.
I
Yeah,
like it.
somebody's getting it tomorrow morning. I can promise you that.
Will's gonna be honking at anybody and everybody tomorrow on his way to work.
If we all just honk a bunch, it won't be as bad every time that we have to do it.
but then it kind of loses its it loses its effect maybe.
Then the
Yeah.
thumbs
Maybe.
down comes into play. Once you get the thumbs down, you know you're a bad driver.
They need like a second honk, like a different noise.
One's like an angry honk and one's like a
Yeah.
I'm just looking out
A
for you
general,
type of
a
honk.
general honk.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Maybe you should go to some car companies with that. Maybe they
We
can
need
put that
two.
feature in.
We need 2 horns.
All right, I like it. Well, one thing I'd like to finish up with, last week, me and Will threw out some hot takes, uh, for other teams that aren't OU, and so obviously you weren't able to be with us last week. So I would love to hear a hot take that you have. It's still early enough in the year, and my hot take, we posted it on TikTok about and I never said Arch is going to start, starting at Texas. I just said there's going to be some controversy, and people are going to start rumbling at Texas. And some guy commented on our TikTok post and said, what did he say? He said, you need to stop watching football and get off the internet. And I told him we'll get off the internet as soon as we get off your mom. So
Roasted.
he didn't say anything back after that. But what is a hot take that you have for this upcoming football season?
Yeah, I think this one we get to see this one really fast. But I think Michigan Texas next week is a 1-score game. I don't think that's a blowout in any respect. I think that's just a tough game. I feel like a
Right.
lot of people are talking about Texas like they're these big dogs, and I just don't think so.
Right. I think we kind of know Texas for who they are. They have one good year in which, last week they didn't really look impressive there for a while. I know they ended up winning by a lot, but you can't really judge it off of Colorado State. So this will be a good test for them. I still think they come out on top. But yeah, 1-score game. I could definitely see that happening.
Is this a game where Archie Manning becomes Archie Manning, or is it?
No, I don't think so.
Later on in the season.
I mean, Quinn honestly looked pretty good. He had the pick last week, but I thought he looked fine. It'll
Did
be
you
a
see
little.
Arch threw that tutty and then hit the celebration on the side?
I did see
Team
that.
loves him.
I did see that.
He is who the A&M quarterback wants to be so bad.
He really is. He
Hey,
really
can we
is.
do an early Heisman prediction of week 1? I know it's absolutely absurd, but
I'm
Yeah.
down.
Do I get to go first though, so you don't steal mine?
I don't think I'll steal yours. Jaron might. I won't.
All right.
Cam Ward from Miami.
Dang.
I mean,
It's in
yeah,
mine.
if he could play Florida every single week, he probably would win the
Trust,
Heisman.
bro. Just give him a chance.
Who you got, Jaron?
You'll have to give me a second now. I like Cam. He was so nonchalant that last game and still just throwing
Yeah,
dots.
He
It's-
knows.
All right, I'll give mine then while you're thinking on yours. And I'm gonna go not the quarterback route, and I'm gonna say Travis Hunter.
that was number 2.
Because that dude is absolutely insane. It probably won't happen, but the fact that he sat what, 2 snaps?
Yeah.
And dominated on both sides of the ball. Who is it? It was Drill Peppers, right, at Michigan that played both sides, and Travis
He
Hunter.
wasn't that elite.
No, Travis Hunter is a much better version of him. So give me Travis Hunter for an early Heisman pick.
I hate to make this pick, but I think he's actually the favorites in the polls. Like, as for who's gonna win the Heisman, I think it's him over anybody. Give me Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be so like check down central. His numbers are gonna look crazy. People aren't watching Oregon play these like people. Let's be honest, not a lot of people are watching them play some bad teams. I mean, he'll have huge numbers. He'll finish like most passing yards ever from a college quarterback. I think he's got a good shot at it.
Well, and I think even last week, even though they only won by, what was it, a 1-score game last week? It was 24-14, or I guess that's 2 scores, but he threw for like 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, I think. So yeah, absolutely. He is probably going to put up some big numbers.
Yeah, they won by 10.
Yeah. So yeah, not a bad pick. I think, and he's in every single I guess he's not necessarily a dark horse this year because you said he's leading or like has the best odds to win it. But even his first year at Oklahoma, it was always like dark horse Heisman candidates, and he was always on the list. So,
He was in it last year too. I remember for a long time.
and I'm sure that Texas game too boosted him
Mhm.
a lot. So yeah, I guess we'll have to see. We'll have to see for sure. And then at the end of the year, we can see who's the closest, which one of our guys gets a trip to New York. But I will. You want to bring us home?
Yeah, we still haven't worked on a closing, bro. Like, we never know how to end this.
I know. Maybe Jaron can give us some input. Usually, what we like to do is just kind of sit here and stare awkwardly at each other while Will is like trying to wrap us up, but I'm really not offering anything. So maybe you got like a tagline for us or something, or
Dude, I mean, maybe just call out like the game this week and then be like, we'll see you next Tuesday. I guess. I don't know.
I like it. I like it. Me and Will, we're talking about having a drop in the podcast on the same day every week. We were thinking Mondays, but we were both a little busy yesterday. Couldn't film. So it was Tuesday this week. But I think I like that. Announce when the new one's coming out. Also, Will, we didn't talk about this, but me and Will, if anyone's interested, Jared, if you're a big Thunder guy, I don't know if you saw the Instagram story last week, a little teaser, but we're gonna come out with a basketball podcast called Barbecue Chicken.
I got some in the fridge. I got some in the fridge.
So that's a big announcement. I guess we can post it to our 24 Instagram followers. They can get really excited. So that's coming up in a few months. How do you feel about the Thunder this year, Jared?
I mean, they're gonna be good, man. They're young. You hope that like another year of experience for that team is what it takes for them to like push over the edge. I mean, we saw them in regular season, just top of the West. But making that push over the hump is like the hardest part. We've seen it with other Thunder teams before, like that the 2010 team into the 2011 team. Like you get a little bit of experience, it really helps.
Right, and they were a lot of fun to watch. I think adding pieces like Caruso and Hartenstein, places which we weren't really weak on perimeter defense, but we were weak in the rebounding. I think it's just going to help that much more. I'm really excited to watch them this year. Excited for me and Will to start this new podcast and watch some Thunder basketball together. So that's the
Gonna be
big
great.
announcement.
Surprise. Well, so let's go ahead and let's get this show on the road. So this is signing out. This is Will Joplin here with Colin O'Grady and Jaron Johnston. Pleasure to have you, Jaron. Always really smart. You make me feel absolutely stupid when I'm talking on here because you know all your stuff, bro. So it's awesome talking to you. And we're definitely gonna have you back. We're definitely gonna have you back 100%.
I loved it.
But we'll see y'all next Monday. We'll make a promise we'll be out back here next Monday. So 4th and 1 signing out.
Dear high American nights.